Namaste and Jai Guruji Maharaj, Shukrana to Maharaj. Please just let me know that I आवाज आ रही है.
Yes, Aunty.
Shukrana. So I want to share a mini satsang and then I'll go ahead and read this divine book that was, of course, suggested by Maharaj for his Sangat to read. So Maharaj about a couple weeks ago told me to travel. I really have no idea why I'm here. Only Maharaj knows, just like Dubai satsang anyway. But before my travel, he tells me to get this book and bring it with me. So I'm here and I'm reading and I was amazed of it because again, so many of his commandments being repeated and the book of Fakir, it's just all, confirmation over confirmation, but in different angle. And it just makes you, it's just like, oh, yes, I get it. And so Maharaj told me to reach out to Smiley Aunty and just tell her that, Maharaj has planted this thought in me that I should read this book. And at the time, the Fikir reading was happening. So when I reached out, Maharaj had already telepathically had communicated the same message to the beautiful soul. So, and that's how we're here. So this is absolutely Maharaj's will. Shukrana. So I'll go right into it. A blessed book, life-changing for me, life-changing for me. So he has dedicated the book, Many Lives, Many Masters, to his wife. And it's so beautiful, and this will make sense as we read it. He says, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but he says, to Carol, my wife, whose love has nourished and sustained me for longer than I can remember, we are together to the end of time. So remember that. We are all together till the end of time. We never die. Okay, here we go. Preface. I know that there is a reason for everything. I know that there is a reason for everything. Perhaps at the moment that our event occurs, we have neither the insight nor the foresight to comprehend the reason. But with time and patience, it will come to light. So it was with Catherine. I first met her in 1980 when she was 27 years old. She had come to my office seeking help for her anxiety, panic attacks, and phobias. Although these symptoms had been with her since childhood, in the recent past, they had become much worse. Every day she found herself more emotionally paralyzed and less able to function. She was terrified and understandably depressed. In contrast to the chaos that was going on in her life at that time, my life was flowing smoothly. I had a good, stable marriage, 2 young children, and a flourishing career. From the beginning, my life seemed always to have been on a straight course. I had grown up in a loving home. Academic success had been easily, and by my sophomore year in college, I had made that decision to become a psychiatrist. So this book is about his life and his experience and this life-changing patient of his. But there is so much more to it. So we'll find out the secrets and the blessings as we go. I was graduated Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude from Columbia University in New York in 1966. I then went to the Yale University School of Medicine and received my MD degree in 1970. Following an internship at the New York University Bellevue Medical Center, I returned to Yale to complete my residency in psychiatry. Upon completion, I accepted a faculty position at the University of Pittsburgh. 2 years later, I joined the faculty of the University of Miami, heading the psychopharmacology division. There I achieved national recognition in the fields of biological psychiatry and substance abuse. After 4 years at the university, I was promoted to the rank of Associate Professor of Psychiatry at the medical school and I was appointed chief of psychiatry at a large university-affiliated hospital in Miami. By that time, I had already published 37 scientific papers and book chapters in my field. Years of disciplined study had trained my mind to think as a scientist and physician, molding me along the narrow paths of conservatism in my profession. I distrusted anything that could not be proved by traditional scientific methods. I was aware of some of the studies in parapsychology that were being conducted at major universities across the country, but they did not hold my attention. It all seemed too far-fetched to me. So parapsychology is exactly the mystical work, telepathy, and things like that. And Shukrana to Guruji, he made me read this book, and I really had to Google a lot of things and get their meanings. And so life is a learning and how to pronounce things so I could say them right here. But forgive me if I say anything wrong. But he's giving his school, telling about his education because he wants the reader to know that, he's done the years that were programmed to condition, but nothing prepared him for what was coming. We'll get to that now. Then I met Catherine. For 18 months, I used conventional methods of therapy to help her overcome his symptoms. And I can relate so much to this. 6 years I went through this, and no doctor could do that. I relate so much to Catherine I think I'm not going to go into how long I suffered or if mine was major, but she probably went through 1% of what I went through. And it's so amazing that when I read this book, I sobbed a lot of times, understanding what she was going through. For 18 months, I used conventional methods of therapy to help her overcome her symptoms. When nothing seemed to work, I tried hypnosis. In a series of trance states, Catherine recalled past life memories that proved to be the causative factors of her symptoms. She also was able to act as a conduit for information from highly evolved spirit entities. And through them, she revealed many of the secrets of life and of death. In just a few short months, her symptoms disappeared and she resumed her life, happier and more at peace than ever before. Nothing in my background had prepared me for this. I was absolutely amazed when these events unfolded. I do not have a scientific explanation for what happened. There is far too much about the human mind that is beyond our comprehension. Perhaps under hypnosis, Catherine was able to focus in on the part of her subconscious mind that stored actual past life memories, or perhaps she had tapped into what the psychoanalyst Carl Jung termed the collective unconscious, the energy source that surrounds us and contains the memories of the entire human race. Did he just write the energy source? Maharaj. Scientists are beginning to seek these answers. We as a society have much to gain from research into the mysteries of the mind, the soul, the something just happened. Please let me know all is good.
Yeah,
I was kicked out and yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, Shukrana. Okay, so I'm just going to write from scientists because I think we got that, right?
Yes.
So scientists are beginning to seek these answers. We as a society have much to gain from research into the mysteries of the mind, the soul, the continuation of life after death, and the influence of our past life experiences on our present behavior. Obviously, the ramifications are limitless, particularly in the fields of medicine, psychiatry, theology, and philosophy. However, scientifically rigorous research in this area is in its infancy. strides are being made to uncover this information, but the process is slow and is met with much resistance by scientists and lay people alike. Throughout history, humankind has been resistant to change and to the acceptance of new ideas. How true. Historical lore is replete with examples. With Galileo, when Galileo discovered the moons of Jupiter, the astronomers of that time refused to accept or even to look at these satellites because the existence of these moons conflicted with their accepted beliefs. So it is now with psychiatrists and other therapists who refuse to examine and evaluate the considerable evidence being gathered about survival after bodily death and about past life memories. Their eyes stay tightly shut. But we know it's all in his control and he chooses. You know, it's like you've given so much wisdom by Maharaj, and it brings that relief that everything is going in his timing. And this book continues, he says, nothing is in our control, nothing. And I think coming back from the fakir, only our free will, our thinking isn't in our control, you know? This book is my small contribution to the ongoing research in the field of parapsychology, especially the branch dealing with our experiences before birth and after death. Experiences before birth and after death. Every word that you will be reading is true. I have added nothing, and I have deleted only those parts that were repetitious. I have slightly changed Catherine's identity to ensure confidentiality. It took me 4 years to write about what happened, 4 years to garner the courage to take the professional risk of revealing this unorthodox information. Suddenly one night, while I was taking a shower, I felt compelled to put this experience down on paper. I had a strong feeling that the time was right, that I should not withhold that information any longer. The lessons I had learned were meant to be shared with others, not to be kept private. The knowledge had come through Catherine and now had to come through me. I knew that no possible consequence I might face could prove to be as devastating as not sharing the knowledge I had gained about immortality and the true meaning of life. I rushed out of the shower and sat down at my desk with the stack of audio tapes I had made during my sessions with Catherine. In the wee hours of the morning, I thought of my old Hungarian grandfather who had died while I was still a teenager. Whenever I would tell him that I was afraid to take a risk, he would lovingly encourage me by repeating this favorite English expression, "What the hell?" he would say, "What the hell?" And so if you guys know, it's so cute how it's written is not what, it's what, V-A-T. So the pronunciation that he had. So in a lot of in Canada and a lot of in America, you know, if you want to do something, someone would be like, "What the hell? Just do it, you know? Just do it. Face your fear." Chapter 1. The first time I saw Catherine, she was wearing a vivid crimson dress. Crimson is a color like red and purplish. That's what it means. Yeah. Dress, and I was nervously leafing through a magazine in my waiting area. She was visibly out of breath. For the previous 20 minutes, she had been pacing the corridor outside the Department of Psychiatry offices, trying to convince herself to keep her appointment with me and not run away. I went out of the waiting room to greet her, and we shook hands. I noticed that hers were cold and damp, confirming her anxiety. Actually, it had taken her 2 months of courage gathering to make an appointment to see me, even though she had been strongly advised to seek my help by 2 staff physicians, both of whom she trusted. Finally, she was here. Catherine is an extraordinarily attractive woman. with medium-length blonde hair and hazel eyes. At that time, she worked as a laboratory technician in the hospital where I was chief of psychiatry, and she earned extra money modeling swimwear. I ushered her into my office, past the couch, and to a large leather chair. We sat across from each other, my semicircular desk separating us. Catherine leaned back in her chair, silent, not knowing where to begin. I waited, preferring that she chose the opening, but after a few minutes, I began inquiring about her past. On that first visit, we began to unravel who she was and why she had come to see me. In answer to my questions, Catherine revealed the story of her life. She was the middle child, reared in a conservative Catholic family in a small Massachusetts town. Her brother, born 3 years earlier than she, was very athletic, and he enjoyed a freedom that she was never allowed. Her younger sister was the favorite of both parents. When we started to talk about her symptoms, she became noticeably more tense and nervous. Her speech was rapid, and she leaned forward, resting her elbows on the desk. Her life had always been burdened with fears. She feared water, feared choking to the extent that she could not swallow pills, feared airplanes, feared the dark, and she was terrified of dying. In the recent past, her fears had begun to worsen. In order to feel safe, she often slept in the walk-in closet in her apartment. She suffered 2 to 3 hours of insomnia before being able to fall asleep. One sleep, she would sleep lightly and fitfully, awakening frequently. The nightmares and sleepwalking episodes that had plagued her childhood were returning. As her fears and symptoms increasingly paralyzed her, she became more and more depressed. As Catherine continued to talk, I could sense how deeply she was suffering. Over the years, I had helped many patients like Catherine throughout the agonies of their fears, and I felt confident that I could help her, too. I decided we would begin by delving into her childhood, looking for the original source of her problems. Usually, this kind of insight helps to alleviate anxiety. If necessary, and if she could manage to swallow pills, I would offer her some mild anti-anxiety medications to make her more comfortable. This was standard textbook statement and treatment for Catherine's symptoms, and I never hesitated to use tranquilizers or even antidepressant medicines to treat chronic, severe fears and anxiety. Now I use these medicines much more sparingly and only temporarily, if at all. No medicine can reach the real roots of these symptoms. No medicine can reach the real roots of these symptoms. So true. My experiences with Catherine and others like her have proved this to me. Now I know there can be cures, not just the suppression or covering over of symptoms. During the first session, I kept trying to gently nudge her back to her childhood, because Catherine remembered amazingly few events from her early years. I made a mental note to consider hypnotherapy as a possible shortcut to overcoming this repression. She could not remember any particularly traumatic moments in her childhood that would explain the epidemic of fears in her life. As she strained and stretched her mind to remember, isolated memory fragments emerged. When she was about 5 years old, she had panicked when someone had pushed her off a diving board into a swimming pool. She said that even before that incident, however, she had never felt comfortable in water. When Catherine was 11, her mother had become severely depressed. Her mother's strange withdrawal from the family necessitated visits to a psychiatrist with ensuing electroshock treatments. These treatments had made it difficult for her mother to remember things. This experience with her mother frightened Catherine, but as her mother improved and became herself again, Catherine said that her fears dissipated. Her father had a long-standing history of alcohol abuse, and sometimes Catherine's brother had to retrieve their father from the local bar. Her father's increasing alcohol consumption led to his having frequent fights with her mother, who would then become moody and withdrawn. However, Catherine viewed this as an accepted family pattern. Just gonna take a moment to sip my tea. Namaste. Cheers. Things were better outside the home. She dated in high school and mixed in easily with her friends, most of whom she had known for many years. However, she found it difficult to trust people, especially those outside her small circle of friends. Her religion was simple and unquestioned. She was raised to believe in traditional Catholic ideology and practices, and she had never really doubted the truthfulness and the validity of her faith. She believed that if you were a good Catholic and lived properly by observing the faith and its rituals, you would be rewarded by going to heaven. If not, you would experience purgatory or hell. Purgatory, I think when I Googled it, it means a place where in their beliefs, it means before you go to heaven, you go to this place called the purgatory where your sins have to get cleansed before you can go to heaven. So you can't go straight there. A patriarchal God and his son made these final decisions. It's talking about their faith and what they believe. I later learned that Catherine did not believe in reincarnation. In fact, she knew very little about the concept, although she had read sparingly about the Hindus. Reincarnation was an idea contrary to her upbringing and understanding. She had never read any metaphysical or occult literature. Having had no interest in it, she was secure in her beliefs. After high school, Catherine completed a 2-year technical program, emerging as a laboratory technician. Armed with a profession and encouraged by her brother's move to Tampa, Catherine landed a job in Miami at a large teaching hospital affiliated with the University of Miami School of Medicine. She moved to Miami in the spring of 1974 at the age of 21. Catherine's life in a small town had been easier than her life in Miami turned out to be. Yet she was glad she had fled her family problems. During her first year in Miami, Catherine met Stuart. Married, Jewish, and with 2 children, he was totally different from any other man she had ever dated. He was a successful physician, strong and aggressive. There was an irresistible chemistry between them, but their affair was rocky and tempestuous, meaning wild and, rocky. Something about him drew out her passions and awakened her, as if she were charmed by him. At the time Catherine started therapy, her affair with Stuart was in its 6th year and very much alive, if not well. Catherine could not resist Stuart, although he treated her poorly, and she was furious at his lies, broken promises, and manipulation. Several months prior to her appointment with me, Catherine had inquired vocal cord surgery for a benign nodule. She had been anxious prior to the surgery, but was absolutely terrified upon awakening in the recovery room. It took hours for the nursing staff to calm her. After her recovery in the hospital, she sought out Dr. Edward Poole. Ed was a kindly pediatrician whom Catherine had met while working in the hospital. They had both felt an instant rapport and had developed a close friendship. Catherine talked freely to Ed, telling him of her fears, her relationship with Stuart, and that she felt she was losing control over her life. He insisted that she make an appointment with me and only me, not with any of my associate psychiatrists. When Ed called to tell me about his referral, he explained that for some reason he thought only I could truly understand Catherine. Even though the other psychiatrists also had excellent credentials and were skilled therapists, Catherine did not call me, however. 8 weeks passed. In the crunch of my busy practice as head of the Department of Psychiatry, I had forgotten about Ed's call. Catherine's fears and phobias worsened. Dr. Frank Acker, chief of surgery, had known Catherine casually for years, and they often bantered good naturally. Bantered means like in a teasing, joking way, they were good friends like that. Often bantered good naturally when he visited the laboratory where she worked. He had noticed her recent unhappiness and sensed her tension. Several times he had meant to say something to her but had hesitated. One afternoon, Frank was driving to a smaller, out-of-the-way hospital to give a lecture. On the way, he saw Catherine driving to her home, which was close to that hospital, and impulsively waved her to the side of the road. "I want you to see Dr. Ways now," he yelled through the window. "No delays." Although surgeons often act impulsively, even Frank was surprised at how emphatic he was, how forceful he was. Catherine's panic attacks and anxiety were increasing in frequency and duration. She began having 2 recurrent nightmares. In one, a bridge collapsed while she was driving across it. Her car plunged into the water below, and she was trapped and drowning. In the second dream, she was trapped in a pitch-black room, stumbling and falling over things, unable to find a way out. Finally, she came to see me. At the time of my first session with Catherine, I had no idea that my life was about to turn upside down, and the frightened, confused woman across the desk from me would be a catalyst, and that I would never be the same again. So this was chapter 1, and we get a good look of who the doctor is, the storyline, and who Catherine is. And, you know, he's again giving us his background, her background, and we move on to chapter 2. 18 months of intensive psychotherapy passed, with Catherine coming to see me once or twice a week. So 18 months has passed from that previous chapter. She was a good patient, verbal, capable of insight, and extremely eager to get well. During that time, we explored her feelings, thoughts, and dreams. Her recognition of recurrent behavior patterns provided her with insight and understanding. She remembered many more significant details from her past, such as her merchant seaman father's absence from the home and his occasional violent outbursts after drinking too much. She understood much more about her turbulent relationship with Stuart, and she expressed anger more appropriately. I felt that she should have been much improved by now. Patients almost always improve when they remember unpleasant influences from their past, when they learn to recognize and correct maladaptive behavior patterns, and when they develop insight and view their problems from a larger, more detached perspective. But Catherine had not improved. Anxiety and panic attacks still tortured her. The vivid recurrent nightmares continued, and she was still terrified of the dark, of water, and of being closed in. Her sleep was still fragmented and unrefreshing. She was experiencing heart palpitations. She continued to refuse any medicines, afraid of choking on the pills. I felt as if I had reached a wall, and that no matter what I did, that wall would remain so high that neither of us would be able to climb over it. I had that experience with so many doctors, not just one psychiatric, so many that they were just left with, you know, you knew that they had reached a wall, but they wouldn't say it, you know, and they would offer more medicines and more medicines, but this doctor was very well connected to the masters that they get introduced soon. But with my sense of frustration came an added sense of determination. Somehow I was going to help Catherine. And then a strange thing happened. Although she was intensely afraid of flying and had to fortify herself with several drinks while she was on the plane, Catherine accompanied Stuart to a medical conference in Chicago in the spring of 1982. While there, she pressured him into visiting the Egyptian exhibit at the Art Museum, where they joined a guided tour. Catherine had always had an interest in ancient Egyptian artifacts and reproductions of relics from that period. Relics mean the bones and the corpses and things of the body parts of uh, the past people. She was hardly a scholar and had never studied that time in history, but somehow the pieces seemed familiar to her. When the guide began to describe some of the artifacts in the exhibit, she found herself correcting him, and she was right. The guide was surprised. Catherine was stunned. How did she know these things? Why did she feel so strongly that she was right? So sure of herself that she corrected the guide in public? Perhaps the memories were forgotten from her childhood. At her next appointment, so I'm sorry, I'm just going to say, see the logic kicks in all the time. So what he does, this writer, so beautiful, this doctor, Brian Weiss, he's writing his logical mind's thought as well right after. So all these information are coming, but then he goes to say, perhaps the memories were forgotten from her childhood, meaning this lifetime. So the mind also always wants to find, a logical answer to comfort and not get you to like explore more. At her next appointment, she told me what had happened. Months earlier, I had suggested hypnosis to Catherine, but she was afraid and she resisted. Because of her experience at the Egyptian exhibit, she now reluctantly agreed. So everything happens for a reason. She was taken to that trip. She had to meet that guy, go to that trip, the Egyptian exhibit, for her to open up to saying yes to the hypnosis. Hypnosis is an excellent tool to help a patient remember long forgotten incidents. There's nothing mysterious about it. It's just a state of focused concentration under the instruction of a trained hypnotist. The patient's body relaxes, causing the memory to sharpen. I had hypnotized hundreds of patients and have found it helpful in reducing anxiety, eliminating phobias, changing bad habits, and in aiding in the recall of repressed material. On occasion, I had been successful in regressing patients back to their early childhoods, even to when they were 2 or 3 years old, thus eliciting the memories of long forgotten traumas that were disrupting their lives. I felt confident that hypnosis would help Catherine. I instructed Catherine to lie on the couch with her eyes slightly closed and her head resting on a small pillow. At first, we focused on her breathing. With each exhalation, she released stored up tension and anxiety. With each inhalation, she relaxed even more. After several minutes of this, I told her to visualize her muscles progressively relaxing, beginning with her facial muscles and jaw, then her neck and shoulders, her arms, back and stomach muscles, and finally her legs. She felt her entire body sinking deeper and deeper into the couch. Then I instructed her to visualize a bright white light at the top of her head, inside her body. Later on, as I had the light spread slowly down her body, it completely relaxed every muscle, every nerve, every organ, all of her body, bringing her into a deeper and deeper state of relaxation and peace. She felt sleepier and sleepier, more and more peaceful and calm. Eventually, at my instruction, the light filled her body and surrounded her as well. I counted backward slowly from 10 to 1. With each number, she entered a deeper level of relaxation. Her trance state deepened. She was able to concentrate on my voice, and exclude all background noises. By the count of one, she was already in a moderately deep state of hypnosis. The entire process had taken about 20 minutes. After a while, I began to regress her, asking her to recall memories of progressively earlier ages. She was able to talk and to answer my questions while maintaining a deep level of hypnosis. She remembered a traumatic experience at the dentist that occurred when she was 6 years old. She vividly remembered the terrifying experience at age 5 when she was pushed from a diving board into a pool. She had gagged and choked, then swallowing some water, and while talking about it, she began to gag in my office. I suggested to her that the experience was over, that she was out of the water. The gagging stopped, and she resumed her normal breathing. She was still in a deep trance. At age 3, the worst event of all had occurred. She remembered awakening in her dark bedroom and being aware that her father was in her room. He reeked of alcohol then, and she would smell it now. He touched her and rubbed her, even down there. She was terrified and began to cry, so he covered her mouth with his rough hand. She could not breathe. In my office, on my couch, 25 years later, Catherine began to sob. I felt that we had the information now, the key to the lock. I was sure that her symptoms would improve quickly and dramatically. I softly suggested to her that the experience was over, that she was no longer in her bedroom, but was resting quietly, still entranced. The sobbing ended. I took her forward in time to her current age. I awakened her after I had instructed her by post-hypnotic suggestion to remember all that she had told me. We spent the remainder of the session discussing her suddenly vivid memory of the trauma with her father. I tried to help her accept and integrate her new knowledge. She now understood her relationship with her father, his reactions to her, his aloofness, and her fear of him. She was still shaking when she left the office, but I knew the understanding she had gained was worth the momentary discomfort. In the drama of uncovering her painful and deeply repressed memories, I had entirely forgotten to look for the possible childhood connection to her knowledge of the Egyptian artifacts. But at least she understood more about her past. She had remembered several terrifying events, and I expected a significant improvement in her symptoms. Despite this new understanding, the next week she reported that her symptoms remained intact, as severe as ever. I was surprised. I could not understand what was wrong. Could something had happened earlier than age 3? We had uncovered more than sufficient reasons for her fear of choking, of the water, of the dark, and of being trapped. And yet the piercing fears and symptoms, the uncontrolled anxiety were all still devastating her walking moments. Her nightmares were as terrifying as before. I decided to regress her further. While hypnotized, Catherine spoke in a slow and deliberate whisper. Because of this, I was able to write down her words verbatim and have quoted Catherine directly. The ellipses represent pauses in her speech, not deletion of words, nor editing on my part. However, some of the material that is repetitious is not included here. So this was written in the bracket. Slowly, I took Catherine back to the age of 2, but she recalled no significant memories. I instructed her firmly and clearly, go back to the time from which your symptoms arise. I was totally unprepared for what came next. I see white steps leading up to a building. A big white building with pillars. open in front. There are no doorways. I'm wearing a long dress, a sack made of rough material. My hair is braided, long blonde hair. I was confused. I wasn't sure what was happening. I asked her what the year was, what her name was. Aronda. I am 18. I see a marketplace in front of the building. There are baskets. You carry the baskets on your shoulders. We live in a valley. There is no water. The year is 1863 BC. The area is barren, hot, and sandy. There is a well, no rivers. Water comes into the valley from the mountain. After she related more topographical details, I told her to go several years ahead in time and to tell me what she saw. There are trees and a stone road. I see a fire with cooking. My hair is blonde. I'm wearing a long, coarse brown dress and sandals. I am 25. I have a girl child whose name is Cleastra. She's Rachel. In brackets, Rachel is presently her niece. They have always had an extremely close relationship. So the baby that she's holding in this lifetime, so this is her second lifetime, that the first one she was 18, this is where she's 21, I believe, holding a baby. In this state, she's saying, this baby of mine is in fact Rachel in this lifetime. She's able to give that information. She continues by saying, it's very hot. Back to the doctor. I was startled. My stomach knotted and the room felt cold. Her visualizations and recall seemed so definite. She was not at all tentative. Names, dates, clothes, trees, all seen vividly. What was going on here? How could the child she had then be her niece now? I was even more confused. I had examined thousands of psychiatric patients, many under hypnosis, and I had never came across fantasies like this before. Not even in dreams. I instructed her to go forward to the time of her death. I wasn't sure how to interview someone in the middle of such an explicit fantasy or memory, but I was on the lookout for traumatic events that might underlie current fears or symptoms. The events around the time of death could be particularly traumatic. Apparently, a flood or tidal wave was devastating the village. There are big waves, so this is Catherine talking. There are big waves knocking down trees. There's no place to run. It's cold. The water is cold. I have to save my baby, but I cannot. Just have to hold her tight. I drown. The water chokes me. I can't breathe, can't swallow. Salty water. My baby is torn out of my arms. Catherine was gasping and having difficulty breathing. Suddenly her body relaxed completely and her breathing became deep and even. I see clouds. My baby is with me, and others from my village. I see my brother. She was resting. This lifetime had ended. She was still in a deep trance. I was stunned. Previous lifetime, reincarnation, my clinical mind told me that she was not fantasizing this material, that she was not making this up. Her thoughts, her expressions, the attention to particular detail, all were different from her conscious state. The whole gamut of possible psychiatric diagnosis flashed through my mind, but her psychiatric state and her character structure did not explain these revelations. Schizophrenia? No. She had never had any evidence of a cognitive or thinking disorder. She had never experienced any auditory hallucinations of hearing voices, visual hallucinations or visions while awake, or any other type of psychotic episodes. She was not delusional, nor was she out of touch with reality. She did not have multiple or split personalities. There was only one Catherine, and her conscious mind was totally aware of this. She had no sociopathic or antisocial tendencies. She was not an actress. She did not use drugs, nor did she ingest hallucinogenic substances. Hallucinogenic substances. Her use of alcohol was minimal. She had no neurological or psychological illnesses that could explain this vivid, immediate experience while hypnotized. These were memories of some sort, but from where? My gut reaction was that I had stumbled upon something I knew very little about: reincarnation and past life memories. It couldn't be, I told myself. My scientifically trained mind resisted it. Yet here it was, happening right before my eyes. I couldn't explain it, but I couldn't deny the reality of it either. Go on, I said, a little unnerved but fascinated by what was happening. Do you remember anything else? She remembered fragments of 2 other lifetimes. I have on a dress with black lace, and there is a black lace on my head. I have dark hair with gray in it. It's 1756 AD. I am Spanish. My name is Luisa, and I'm 56. I'm dancing. Others are dancing too. Long pause. I'm sick. I have a fever, cold sweats. Lots of people are sick. People are dying. The doctors don't know it was from the water. I took her ahead in time. I recover, but my head, so she says, I recover, but my head still hurts. My eyes and head still hurt from the fever, from the water. Many die. Later, she told me that she was a prostitute in that lifetime, but she had not relayed that information because she was embarrassed by it. Apparently, while hypnotized, Catherine could censor some of the memories she transmitted back to me. Since Catherine had recognized her niece in an ancient lifetime, I impulsively asked her if I was present in any of her lifetimes. I was curious about my role, if any, in her remembrance. She responded quickly, in contrast to the previous very slow and deliberate recall. You are my teacher, sitting on a ledge. You teach us from books. You are old with gray hair. You're wearing a white dress, toga, with gold trim. Your name is Diag Diagonus. You teach us symbols, triangles. You are very wise, but I don't understand. The year is 1568 BC. This was approximately 1200 years before the noted Greek cynic philosopher Diogenes. The name was not an uncommon one. The first session had ended. Even more amazing ones were yet to come. After Catherine left, and over the next several days, I pondered the details of the hypnotic regression. It was natural for me to ponder. Very few details emerging from even a normal therapy hour escaped my obsessive mental analysis, and this session was hardly normal. In addition, I was very skeptical about life after death, reincarnation, out-of-body experiences, and related phenomena. After all, the logical part of me ruminate, forgive me, ruminated. This could be her fantasy. Again, the mind, saying this could be her fantasy. I wouldn't actually be able to prove any of her assertions or visualizations, but I was also aware, although much more dimly, of a further and less emotional thought. Keep an open mind, the thought said. Keep an open mind. True science begins with observation. Her memories might not be a fantasy or imagination. There might be something more than meets the eye or any of the other senses. Keep an open mind. Get more data. I had another nagging thought. Would Catherine, prone to anxieties and fears to begin with, be too frightened to undergo hypnosis again, I decided not to call her. Let her digest the experience too. I would wait until next week. So this is the end of chapter 2. I won't go into chapter 3 because it would be going on for a while. So we'll leave this in our next, so we can leave the sessions for an hour, try. Let's see what Maharaj guides. But fascinating, just so amazing. And if I have to say, I am 100% sure many of us can relate this with our own experiences. And I remember when I was bedridden, I had so many nightmares. And of course, with the book Fakir, it made me think that some of them, I know that it was my past lifetimes. In one, I was homeless. I remember vividly that I ran to a cake shop and I begged for food. I was a man in that lifetime. And as usual, these mystical dreams were shown to me from a third eye, like some third another observant eye, another eye. And today I realized Maharaj was guiding me that we're all consciousness, and we are consciousness, and we are, just, this is a movie, and we're just watching, observing the images that he has laid out. Yes, please do ask if you have any questions. We can keep it till an hour exactly. But if you want to share something as well, a past lifetime or anything, please do. Namaste.
Jai Guruji, we have like Anita Aunty. So we would like if she's around to say something, pitch in, or for that matter, anybody else.
Hi. Hi, son.
Namaste. Hi. Jai Guruji.
Jai Guruji. Really enjoyed the read because I read this book like maybe more than a decade ago, maybe 10 to 15 years ago. And as you said so lucidly, that I could relate to every word because we also, as humans, have lived many lifetimes, right? And it makes sense because there are certain karmic baggages which we carry in this lifetime does not seem to add up why we behave the way we do, you know. So it is tendencies which we have carried from our past life. And being aware of this, being aware makes us want to resolve our issues faster. And when with having Guruji in our lives, it facilitates the journey, you know. The journey is facilitated by his grace. So I think it's so wonderful to be awake now with these kind of books. So it's and thank you for reading because you know it's bringing a lot of awareness to a lot of people because as I always say honestly, there are so many layers to our spiritual growth, so many layers, you know. There's so many different nuances and Guruji seems to be peeling the layers. It's like peeling an onion. And these books are peeling our own layers like an onion and making us of the essence of who we are. Sorry, what's that noise? Not me. No, but you know, it's actually enabling us to reach and touch the essence of who we are, right? So it's just wonderful how these books are unraveling the mysteries of our own lives.
So true.
Perfectly said, Anita. Perfectly. I couldn't have said it even better. And I love that. And please do at each session whenever you find that you could relate it to something that, the wisdom that you've been given. And absolutely, it makes you think back of, I myself reading the book, I was thinking, I didn't, it was life-changing for me because I realized I haven't gone through, let's say, in that 6 years. Okay, fine. A lot of the fears were garnered from that. But some of the other things that, why am I fearful towards this subject? And you realize there's so much, and it makes you ponder and go over. And as you said, Maharaj truly has blessed us with so much, just resolving these fears and surrendering it all to him. But perfectly said. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
Jai Guruji. So we have Ekta.
I
Aunty,
also want to say that.
Yeah, please, son. Son?
No, please have Ekta Aunty share.
Okay. So Ekta, please ask.
Okay. So I also want to say one thing that my voice is coming a bit later than. So I will share. Okay.
Okay.
Ekta Aunty,
Son,
please.
Son, Aunty, are you speaking? Please go ahead. I'll wait. I'll want to listen to what you want to say.
Ekta Aunty, please share.
Guruji,
Please share.
Son,
I think
Aunty.
my voice is coming a bit.
Jai
Jai Guruji.
to everyone. Jai Guruji. I don't know how to put this. And I didn't know why. I'm so speechless. I have no words because this has been like a month that I have no words, but I just try to put this. It's like how Maharaj brings you to a particular sharing of experience, because it's been a month that I've been constantly getting these messages. We read Fakir, and then we are talking about this today, and past lives that we are talking. So it was very initial days of getting connected to Maharaj, and I have never shared this before, and I'm still feeling such strong emotions. That was initial days, and I was sitting in Dhyan, and I saw 6 lifetimes of mine. This is my 6th birth. I've never told this before to anybody.
Wow.
What I saw was so overwhelming that I started crying, and I saw each phase of my cycle. I saw who I was. I saw it in a flash of second. It was like a movie, pictures running. And he showed me who I was in all these 6 births. One of them was a baby, the other was an old woman, a male, a classical dancer, again a female, and then me. So I had no clue what I was seeing. I have no clue what I'm talking. And I have no clue. I'm so right now, this is very intense for me. I don't know how to. And I was so scared. And I told Maharaj, what did I see? What did you show me? What was that? And I just passed it thinking, must be my mind playing with the whole thing. And I had never talked about past regression or any sort of such reincarnation things. I was so clueless to all this. Today I connect the dot. Today I know what I saw. And today, for the first time, I'm sharing this with anyone ever, that he showed me this is my 6th birth. And he told me not to talk about it to anyone, and I didn't. and I didn't. And today I'm talking about this. And I was not knowing about this session. Maharaj called me 8:10 into this session. Suddenly I logged. I saw Seema Auntie's invite, which she often sends for Sarbat Ka Bhala Wala session. Healing Shabads, it is written, and it's a satsang. So I usually don't join. Today also I thought it must be the same, but I don't know why I opened it and I saw there's something about Sun, it was written, and I thought it's Sun Auntie Satsang maybe, and I just logged. I didn't know what was going on over here. I don't know what to say, and I don't know how to reflect on this, and I don't know what is going on and what is in store next. Because while reading Fakir with Anita Auntie, and now that I'm doing it on my own, it's like that's all I want to share. I don't have anything more to say because I can't reflect.
So,
I've got
Sun,
no
please
words.
pitch in.
Thank you so much.
I don't know. I'm sweating. I'm so intensely feeling these emotions, and the whole thing is in front of me. What I saw, and this is true. This is a stamping on that. It is true, and this is my 6th birth. And I thank Maharaj for bringing this thing to me today. And I'm grateful to all of you for being the medium. Shukrana Guruji. And I rest it here because I can't speak more. I have so much to say, but I can't speak. I don't know. I'm so overwhelmed. Thank you. Thank you for letting me in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much. Thank you. And it will all come to light. And it could be, it could be more than 6 lifetimes. This is just my own experience. And as Anita Auntie also shared, lifetimes and lifetimes we've been. Only Maharaj knows. In the divine light, when somebody asked Anita, how many years have you been connected? Maharaj stopped and said, don't answer to such questions. Just tell them to believe, because no, you don't know how many lifetimes you've been with me. So there's a reason why he's shown you. For me, I know, like that homeless or many other lifetimes that he's shown me, it's related to a fear that I have or something that he wants me to know. That for me, when I saw a homeless person, I felt, this is before I had the dream, I felt so broken every time I saw a homeless person. Every time I was in depression. But when he showed me that dream and when Maharaj came into my life, I understood why, and so there's so many lifetimes that only Maharaj knows, but the ones that he's shown me, I know from my experience, it's related to a learning, or it's related to something that he wants me to just know about, and he will bring it to light. No worries. And a lot of the answers will come. Don't, just be patient. A lot of the answers will come. But just know one thing that gets again keeps being repeated in the book is that all is in his control. What freedom, how such a relief to know that he's in control, and of course we know that, but he will bring the answers, absolutely. So if there's no more, I'm going to
I just want to say something more to it, is that now you said that you got fearful of. So every time I used to step on stage, I would be having this strange feeling in my gut, and I would not want to go on stage and perform. Right from my childhood, like I was in grade 5, I started singing. Before that, much before, I was 2 or 3 when I started singing, and every time I would go on stage, it would be like mad, it would be like, I have no words to tell that fear, and again and again, I would be chosen, and that too for sole performances. So I would be okay with group, but I would go dead scared if it would be alone. Until date, it happens. that when I have to sing for Maharaj, it takes me days to get myself together. It used to be like that initially. And I left singing because of this fear for about like 15 years, 10 years. I left it for that particular reason, that I would be so scared on stage. But I would be singing and winning, which was very, very strange. And after 10 years, Guruji got hold of that thing in me. And now, with passing year, 1.5 year, this fear has gone subtle. I don't know which reason is behind this. What is the reason behind this that I get so scared? But it's getting sorted, and I'm much more confident of singing now. Speaking has never been an issue, but singing was always such a, I don't know. Thank you, Sun. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for addressing this. Now I get my answer. Thank you. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you.
In his timing, everything will come to light. Yeah. Okay, thank you everyone. Shukrana to Maharaj. Shukrana. So tomorrow we'll go for the remaining chapters for the hour that we have. So thank you so much, and we're all so blessed. Namaste. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you,
Anita.
Sananti.
Thank you.
Thank
Jai
you so much.
Guruji, Shukrana
Jai
Guruji.
Guruji.
Shukrana
Thank-
Guruji. Shukrana.
Shukrana Guruji. Jai
Shukrana
Guruji.
Guruji. Shukrana.